you should read Superman Up in the Sky. This is going to be my first review. I'm hopefully going to be doing these once a week, reviewing books that I've read that I think you would really enjoy. And I thought no better way to start off than with a book that I really enjoyed that I just read recently, which is Superman Up in the Sky by Tom King. So to start off, a basic synopsis of this book. Batman visits Superman in Metropolis and tells him that a young girl by the name of Alice has gone missing. After her foster parents were brutally murdered in their home, she was kidnapped by some aliens. Now, this does seem kind of like an odd thing for Superman to be dealing with, especially coming from Batman, who is the world's greatest detective, and really you don't think would need Superman in order to help him solve a crime. And even Superman thinks it's kind of odd, and so does Batman. Typically, the things that Superman is dealing with are planetary threats, threatening millions, if not billions of lives at any given time. But when Superman goes to speak to Alice's foster sister, he learns that Alice loves Superman, and that Superman is her hero. And since she's been kidnapped by aliens, there's only one person that can save her, and that is Superman. So against his better judgment and the judgment of those around him, Superman decides to save this little girl because nobody else can. And that idea of Superman doing what nobody else can is kind of the whole premise of this book. It's an absolutely beautiful character study of what does it mean to be Superman? What does it mean to do the impossible even when you're the Man of Steel? And the book is written in a way that I really enjoyed, which is each individual issue is almost its own standalone story. Each of them almost being like trials or hurdles that Superman faces while trying to save one innocent life. Now, if you've followed me on any platforms, you probably know that I am a fan of Tom King's work, and this book is of no exception to that. He does a really great job of examining Superman and examining really the source of what makes him a hero. And instead of running through all the stories, there are two in particular that really caught my attention and I'd like to focus in on. The first story I want to look at takes place with Superman and Sergeant Rock. For those of you that aren't familiar, Sergeant Rock was a World War II based character from DC Comics from the 1950s. Now, in the story, we're not entirely sure of how Superman ended up there. You know, it could have been through some kind of black hole while he was traveling through space, but that's really not what's important. What does matter is Sergeant Rock finds Superman in the middle of a battlefield somewhere in France and picks him up and carries him off, and they put a uniform on him, and they just assume that he's one of the soldiers. Maybe got separated from his company. They're not really sure. They just know that it was odd finding a man in brightly colored underwear in the middle of a battlefield. And Superman has no memory of where he's from. He oddly enough puts glasses on, which you don't think he would really need, but he obviously remembers part of his identity involved wearing glasses, and he does remember that he is from Kansas. Now, throughout this story, Sergeant Rock and his team are on a special mission, and there's really no reason for Superman to stay with him. In fact, they even give him an opportunity to turn himself in or to go hide and wait for reinforcements, because Sergeant Rock and his men are going to go do something that they most likely will not survive. But that's not Superman, and even without his powers, Superman does something that makes him a hero, and that is he serves others. Now, throughout the story, Superman is on the battlefield with them, and of course he doesn't realize that he's the Man of Steel. He doesn't realize these bullets can't hurt him, that he could just fly to the top of the hill and take out the German encampments and win this battle single-handedly. He has no memory of any of his abilities. It's not until a point in the battle when him and Sergeant Rock are storming up a hill together and a grenade is thrown at them. While Superman, being Superman, does what he knows to do, and he grabs that grenade, and it goes off in his hand. And of course, it does no harm to him. It blows away the World War II soldier uniform that he's wearing, and you begin to see the S underneath it, and he remembers who he is. And I think that the reason that this story really caught my attention is because Superman essentially didn't have his powers for the first part of this story. He didn't know he was invulnerable. He didn't know he was the Man of Steel. He just knew that he needed to help people. And it wasn't until a critical moment when Superman decides to put his life on the line for others, when he decides he's going to serve those around him, that he remembers who he truly is, and his powers come forward. And I think that's a really powerful message about Superman and what makes him who he is. It's the fact that he serves others, the fact that he would be willing to put his life on the line, even though there's really no threat of him losing it. He still does it, but he puts his life out there for those around him. And I thought that was a really beautiful way of looking at Superman. And the other story that really caught my attention was one that is kind of a classic trope in DC Comics, and that is Superman versus the Flash. So this part of the story is really interesting because it's actually narrated from the point of view of Alice. Essentially, you know, the classic story goes, Superman and Flash are going to race around the world for charity to see who's the fastest man alive. Of course, the Flash is going to win. The Flash always wins. The Flash is faster than Superman. There's no question about that, but they still do it because it's for charity, and it's just something that typically happens in DC Comics. But what's happening is about 7 laps into their 10-lap race, Lex Luthor calls the charity function that Superman and the Flash are racing for and tells them that he will give them $1 billion if Superman can win. The only caveat is they cannot tell Superman about the donation until after the race. And if Superman doesn't win, of course, he's not going to donate the money. And if Superman wins, this would be the largest donation in history. Now, of course, they don't tell Superman about this, but Superman, being Superman, is always listening to Lex Luthor and hears him having this conversation. So, Superman decides that he cannot lose. He can't lose for 2 reasons. The first reason is if he loses, the charity doesn't get this money. And it's money that they desperately would need and would change the lives of thousands of people. If you remember what I said earlier, Superman does what he does in service to others, and this money would be a huge service to other people. The second reason that Superman can't lose and he needs to win this charitable donation is because if he does lose, Lex Luthor wins. And if there's one thing Superman cannot allow to happen, that's to let Lex Luthor win. Now, of course, the story goes much deeper into kind of exploring why Lex Luthor hates Superman and kind of that relationship, but that really, I feel like, has been talked to death. What really interested me is what happens next. Because he needs to win, and because he needs to win this money for charity, Superman does what nobody expects him to do. Now, the Flash is the fastest man alive. There's no way that Superman could beat him. It's not even possible. And even at the point when Lex Luthor made the donation to the charity, he knew mathematically it would be impossible for Superman to win, given the distance between the 2 racers, how far back Superman was. There was no way that he can beat the Flash. So he just did it to toy with Superman and to kind of break his spirit and make him seem like, hey, guess what? I'm still better than you. But this is Superman we're talking about. He does the impossible. He does what no one expects him to do. So Superman wins the race. He beats the Flash and does the impossible. I think, once again, this speaks volumes to the character. It's basically saying that not only does this service to others and this willingness to put himself out there for other people is what gives Superman the source of his strength, but that he can do the impossible when he's doing that. That when he is serving other people, when he is doing something for the greater good, for the good of others, Superman will do the impossible. He will do things that are incomprehensible. How can Superman beat the Flash? If it means beating Lex Luthor, if it means serving others, Superman will do it. I think this was another really great way of looking at the character. So, like I said, this book was a beautiful, beautiful character study of Superman. You know, what is the source of his strength? What makes him Superman? What makes him the Man of Steel? And I think Tom King did a fantastic job exploring every aspect of the characters. If you want to give this book a read, you can actually buy a copy at the link in the description of this video. And you would be buying it from me, so you get to support my business as well. But I definitely recommend checking out this book if you're a Superman fan, if you're not a Superman fan. I think it's a really great story and a really great exploration of his character. But that's it for this review video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like and a comment, and I'll talk to you later.